Okay, this is tutorial example 2, and this tutorial example 2 was taken from the HackerRank website. Um, it's similar, but I think it's not a good idea if you're on HackerRank and you're coming to watch this video to solve, excuse me, your problem on HackerRank. I would say go through it and try as much as possible to solve it yourself. And if you can't, now search for what your challenge is. Don't search for the entire problem, but rather search for what your challenge is and try to learn how you can overcome that challenge. So let's say you are maybe multiplying two numbers and you've forgotten how to convert from a string to an integer before you do your multiplication. You can go and search for how to do the conversion from strings to integers in Python. Then you learn something about that. Then you come and use that idea inside your code to solve the problem. But you don't go online and search how to multiply two numbers if they are strings. That one becomes a problem. That one you are not learning anything. So if you click on this link, you press Control and click on the link, it takes you to the HackerRank website. And this is the question. Okay. So given this question, it says task. Given an integer n, perform the following conditional actions. If n is odd, print weird. If n is even and in the inclusive range of 2 to 5, print not weird. If n is even and in inclusive range of what? 6 to 20, print what? Weird. If n is even and greater than 20, print what? Not weird. Okay, so they are given two conditions here. One, if it's an even number at the same time within the range of what 2 to 5, then it is not weird. We will come and check the weird and not weird later. Then if it's an even number but rather greater than 6, but from 6 to 20, meaning if it's greater than this range, print what? Weird. And if it's an even number still and it is greater than 25 or greater than 20, just print what? Weird. Okay, so both sorry, not weird, but then if it's an odd number, print what? Weird. Okay, so first we have to check whether it's an odd number or an even number. Okay, so let us work with that one first. Later I'll come and show you how you put in your answers here. So you can go to hackerrank.com and you create an account and you solve challenging problems. There are a lot of them over there. So let's go to my code. So the question 2 is simpler. If n is odd, print weird. If n is even and in the inclusive range of 2 to 5, print not weird. If n is even and in the inclusive range of 6 to 20, print weird. If n is even and greater than 20, print not weird. Okay, now you can use the logical operators and you can use the nested if statement. So let me go and use the nested if statement. Then later on, I'll change my answer into the logical operators. So let us write a new code called tutorial problem 2. Tutorial example 2.py. So you say first and foremost, you are going to take an input. So let's say number is equal to input. Enter the number. Okay. Then I press enter. So whatever input the user brings, now let me try and convert it. So try converting it into an integer. We need it to be an integer form. So we say the number is equal to the integer form of the old number. Now, once you do this, initially the number is a string, hashtag num. Let's assume it's 9. Okay, number is a string 9. It's a string 9. Now, once you do this, you are saying that the computer should now change the variable name's number should change the value of the variable name number to 9. Now, the old 9 vanished away. You don't get this data again. So you can't, after doing this, you can't come and say if num is equal to num. No, the old data is now being replaced by the new data. Okay, so this is something I should have talked about in the assignment stage. So you say except, that means if it fails, except, oh sorry, I'm getting these errors because, now let us move on. I'll show you how to find your errors. So once you see the red line, it means there's an error around this place. Okay, there's an error around this place, and this tall red line is also indicating an error. But except print and please enter a positive integer. Okay, please enter a positive integer. Then you what exit. Okay, you end the loop, because once the data that has been entered is wrong, there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, but we'll learn about for loops and while loops where we can go back and let the user re-enter the data we needed before we proceed. Okay, so we could see that there are some red underlinings, meaning that some syntax has been broken. Now, if you can spot the problem, fine, but then I would address the problem later. So let's assume I've still made a mistake, and let's move on. So I use this opportunity to investigate into the problem. Okay, so once we've tested whether it's an integer or not, we can proceed from here. So our goal is, it says if n, the first one is saying if n is odd, print what? Weird, right? Isn't it? If n is odd, print weird. Yes. Okay, so this is what we want to do. So how do we check if a number is an odd number? Now, if a number is an odd number, when you divide that number, let's say a number divided by 2 will give us a remainder of 1. Anytime you divide an odd number by 2, the remainder is 1. So the percent sign means that make your division, but we only need what? The remainder. So when you divide an odd number by 2, you get what? A remainder of 1. So we are going to use this idea to write if the number the user entered, this number, if the number, if the number the user entered divided by 2 gives us a remainder of 1, then we should what? Print what? Weird. Okay. Now let us look at the next condition they gave us. It says if n is an even number. So you realize that the next one is saying if n is an even number, if n is an even number, if n is an even number. So the rest of them are all even numbers. So it means that if the number divided by 2 has a remainder of 1, meaning it's odd. But then if the number divided by 2 does not give us a remainder of 1, okay, then it's even. So we can just say by default, if you are not an odd number, you are an even number. As long as you're a positive integer, you are an even number. It's automatic. There is no numbers that are not odd numbers or even numbers within 1 to infinity. Every number belongs to one of them, either odd or even. So we say if this number divided by 2 is equal to 1, has a remainder of 1, then it means an odd number, else it's an even number. Okay, so we are in the else statement. Let me just put pass here for now. So this one will work for even numbers. Now let me run the code. I'm not done yet, but I want to test if the odd number section is working properly. So let me run it. Then saying the try, it says syntax error. But let's say syntax error means I've not written a code properly as it should be written, and it is pointing me to what? The try, and it's saying it's what? On line 3. Okay, so where's line 3? This is line 3, and there's a problem here. And as you can see, the try has been spelled wrongly. Okay, the try has been spelled wrongly. So you just change it to try and everything is fine. So let's run it and see if the odd part will work. So let's say I put in an odd number like 9. It says weird. Okay, it's working. Let me run it again and see. If I put in another odd number 11, it's working. So as you can see, let me put in another odd number. Let's say, okay, it's an odd one. It says weird. Now let me put in another odd. Let me put in something that will make it not work and let's see what happens. So let's say we put in mangoes. It is please enter a positive integer. So garbage in, garbage out. Please enter a positive integer. Okay, so I think the code is working for now. So now let's focus on the integer part, the even number part. So that for the even numbers, the question clearly states that if it's even, we already know it's even, and in the inclusive range of what 2 to 5, inclusive range of 2 to 5, print what not weird. Okay, so we can say if the number is in the range of what 2 to 5. So if the number is less than or equal to 5, or the number is greater than or equal to, let me put a pass here first. So if this number, okay, is greater than or equal to 2 but less than or equal to 5, so inclusive range of what 2 to 5. So that's what inclusive range of 2 to 5. Okay, so the number is greater than or equal to 2 but less than or equal to what 5. Then there's another condition saying that if the number is an even number, and we already know it's an even number, in an inclusive range of what 6 to 20, so the number should be greater than or equal to 6 but less than or equal to what 20. Okay, the number should be greater than or equal to 6. So we can say else if the number is what greater than or equal to 6, greater than or equal to 6, the number should be greater than or equal to 6, or the number is what less than or equal to what 20, then do something. But let's put pass here for now. We'll come and address it later. Okay, so then the last one is saying if n is an even, we already know, then and it is greater than 20, print not weird. Okay, now automatically when you're a positive integer, okay, you're a positive integer and you are not an odd number, then it means you'll be between 2 to infinity. And we've already said from 2 to 5 is something else, from 6 to 20 is something else. Automatically, any even number, once you go through all these conditions, any even number will automatically be greater than 20. But we can still use the else if the number is greater than 20, not equal to. Listen to the statement. Even number and greater than 20, print not weird. So greater than 20. Okay, we can print what? Pass. Okay, so now let us put in the conditions that we have to print. We have to print something. So for the first one, between 6 to, for the first one, 2 to 5 is not weird. So we print not weird. Not weird. Then remove the pass. Then between 6 to 20, we print what? Weird. Okay. Weird. Then between, then greater than this one, we print what? Not weird. Okay, so when we run the code, let us run the code. For instance, so if number, enter number, let's say 67, no 66, which is a number greater than 20, so we not weird. So it works. Okay. After testing my code, I can go straight to HackerRank and copy and paste. Okay. So let me copy these inputs. So let me see. HackerRank has already done this for us. Take the inputs and strip whatever the excess spaces and convert it to an integer. Okay. There is no need for the try and except. So HackerRank has done all this part. For HackerRank, it is assuming that integers are going to be entered. There's nothing like, oh, what if the user enters an apple or something? That's per this question. So all what we need to input is this part, this continuation. Control C. Now, since they wrote an if statement above, I have to paste my results in an indented format. Okay. So I paste my results and I make sure that they are indented, they are in line, they are all falling under this if condition. I didn't write the if condition. They wrote it themselves, so I just have to follow under it. Okay. So let's see if our code would survive. So run code. This is just a testing phase. Oops, we have a problem. Okay. Your output, no response on this place, on the console, and it's saying an error. So trace back. Line 13, name num is not defined. Oh, the name num is not defined. So this we use this word num, but then they are using n. Okay, so let me change their n to num. Now everything follows suit. So let's run it again and see. It says sample test case 0 was successful, but then sample test case 1 wasn't successful. Okay, case 1 wasn't successful, but case 0 was what? Successful. So let's see why. Now for case compiler message, wrong answer. So the input they gave us was 24. Your output was what? Not weird. Their expected output was what? Not weird. But the reason why it's wrong is they are weird. They started with a capital what? W. So I have to go and change my code and say capital W. So look at the text they gave us. They are all starting with capitals. Okay. So you have to make sure that your output is also coming the same way. Else you get the answer correct, but then they won't give it to you because the texts are different. Okay. So you have to be very meticulous about this. So you run it again, then it says sample test case 1 is correct. Sample test case 0 is also correct. So this is 1 and 0. Okay, both of them are correct. But then you have to now submit our code. When you submit your code, they run it against a lot of tests, a lot of examples, bigger examples. And they are saying that I survived this case, this case, this case, this case, but I didn't survive these 3 cases. Okay, so let me see why I didn't survive this case. So let me see unlock. Now, they inputted 4 and my answer was what? The input was 4 and they were expecting what? Not weird. But what was my answer? They didn't show me. No, I think they are having a problem. Okay, so let me go and test my code with a 4 and see what happens. Run. So let me input a 4. Weird. So but then they are expecting what? Not weird. Okay. A 4, the number 4 is between if number is greater than or equal to. So the number 4 is supposed to be between here. It's supposed to fall within this range. But then we got a weird, meaning that there is a problem. So I don't know how come the problem is happening, but I can put a red dot here and go and run my debugger so that I can see how the computer is running it step by step. I know the process is feeling lengthy, but I'm trying to show you how to solve problems as a programmer. So let's enter our data 4. Okay, so now we know that 4 has jumped this stage and we know it's automatically an even number. So I can say that watch this part for me. So this under this watch, when you double click in this region, it opens up. Sometimes it may be closed like this. You just click on it. So sometimes you want to pay attention to a particular something. So I want to see what is going on here. This whole place, Control C. Then I double tap here, then I put it in. I press enter. It's saying it's false. The number, this part is false. Why is it false? Why is the 4 not less than or equal to 5 and not greater than or equal to 2? Okay, let me run it and see. Then it gets to the 6th part. Now let me copy and paste this part. I want to watch it carefully. So Control V, then I press enter. And that one is true. Greater than, number is greater than or equal to 6. But then less than or equal to, how come 4 is greater than or equal to 6? Something is happening. Okay, so let me just say, let me split it into 2. So instead of writing it together like this, we can say that we can also use the naive way. You can say if num is in the list 2, 3, 4, 5. So between 2 to 5, if num is inside this list, then it should print what? Not weird. But I don't understand why our 4 is not working. Okay, let me rewrite it. Okay, so let's start all over again. Okay, so let's input a 4 and we get to this part. So let's see. Now this code does not exist, so I take it out. I take it out. Okay, so num is in this range. This is also another logical operator, in, the in operator. So it prints not weird, but this is a less effective way of solving the problem, because if it is 1 to 1000, are you going to type all the 1000 characters? So let's see why our code isn't working. Okay, so if the number, we can use a simple method. If the number is less than or equal to 5, print not weird. So any number less than or equal to 5, print not weird. Now once it has jumped this step, once it has detected it is not an odd number, and once it has also detected that it is an integer, okay, it is an integer, and definitely only integers are going to be entered, and it is not an odd number, then definitely it's starting from 2. So we don't need to include the 2 part. I'm just trying to find a way around it. Later I'll investigate into why it's not working. So if the number is less than or equal to 5, print what? Not weird. Then if the number is rather, now if this one doesn't work, that means the number should be greater than 5. But then else, if the number is less than or equal to 20, print what? Weird. Then else, if it is greater than 20, print not weird. So I think this code should work. Let me copy this and Control C. Let me go to the website and paste it here and Control V. But then let me shift it. Well, okay, and let me remove this else statement. Okay, so now let me shift this one properly. Okay, so I have the indentations correct. So this is under the else statement. This print is also under the if statement, and they are all in line, and they are all under this if underscore underscore name is equal to underscore underscore main. I'll show you how to use this one later. Then let's run the code and see if it works properly. Oh, test case 1 is not satisfied. We are getting what? Not weird. And our expected output is supposed to be not weird. Oh, the W, the spelling, I didn't check it in my work. So let's check it. The small, okay. So now we assume that it's going to work. So let's submit. Okay. Now all the cases worked. So this is how you go through problems on HackerRank. Says congratulations, you get a point, then you go to the next challenge. So it really challenges you to take a deeper look, and gives you a lot of test cases to be able to see how the codes work. Okay, so have a nice day and see you on the other side. Bye.